Let's listen in. Hello, hello. Microphone sounds good. Check. With the microphone. Okay, there we go. Hello there. How we doing? Currently getting. There we go. Earbuds are ready. I think we're ready to start, don't you? Uh-oh. What happened here? Properties. There we go. There's that one problem solved. How are we doing? Is the audio good? What's the audio sound like? Audio sounds a bit goofy, but that's alright. Thought I said off. Off with the fan. Aye, there we go. That'll be fine. If something weird with the audio starts happening, please just tell me in chat. That would be great. Okay, how are we doing? Welcome. So, today is Sunday, August the 8th. August the 4th. I just got back from a Cincinnati Reds game. God, that was not fun this afternoon. That was not fun. 8-2. There was like 3 hits, back-to-back homers, and that was about it. Really wish the Reds did a little bit more at the deadline. That's what we will be talking about today. So, without further ado, let's get into this. So, the first team we will be talking about here is Kay! Kay, I see you. What's up, Kay? How we doing? How you doing? The 3'2" woman going on in my chat. How are we doing? Hold up. Who is walkie-talkie? Yes, I was there. It was not a great game. It was not. Fernando Cruz makes me very angry. Fernando Cruz makes me angry. Yeah, that game was like, it was like, Yeah, K is dumb is like 3 foot tall. Okay. So how are we doing? First things first, we're going to start off with the Orioles here. Orioles acquired Zach Eflin from the Rays for 3 smaller named prospects. They acquired Trevor Rogers for Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. Those were the 2 bigger prospects. That Rogers was seen as a up-and-coming, like, really good lefty pitcher on his rise up to the big leagues. Only problem was, over the past couple years, he's been hurt and he's been inconsistent. I think when he got traded, it was an ERA around 4.5 before he got dealt. The year Jonathan India won Rookie of the Year, as I am a Reds fan. Where's my... Year India did that. Trevor Rogers would finish in 2nd behind India. Dylan Carlson would finish in 3rd. That doesn't really matter. He's got really good potential. The Orioles giving up a top prospect like Norby and Stowers, it was a bit surprising. The Orioles, if they were going to give up a big prospect package, it would have been a lot smarter for them to go out and get someone with a bigger name and someone that's actually pitching good now instead of someone that's pitching good in the past. So, then the Zach Eflin deal. Again, last year the Orioles caught some hate from a lot of fans because they went out and kind of budget bought. They went out and got Jack Flaherty, who last year was walking everyone. He wasn't that great, and they chose to buy cheaply, and it ended up costing them in the playoffs. This year, they kind of did the same, right? They went out and got a couple castaways from the Phillies bullpen, and they decided to free Eloy Jimenez from the hell that is Chicago. Why am I being spammed? Alright. So Orioles overall. Orioles, I gave them a win at this deadline. A win solely because that they addressed their needs. Now, they had very few needs, but bringing in an extra bat, just in case if someone gets hurt in the outfield, plus they have an extra DH in Eloy, and then bringing in 2 starters instead of just 2 pretty good starters. Orioles have been really good at developing pitchers over the past couple years, so having a guy like Rogers, they can probably mold him back into what he had potential to be instead of being in with Miami. Yeah, Slater was not great. Although I saw Slater, he made his debut a couple days ago for the Orioles. I want to say he was hitting leadoff. That's at least what I saw in the tweet. He went 2 for 3 in their leadoff spot. So apparently the Orioles fixed him, but that's whatever. Yankees, the big move was getting Jazz Chisholm. Yankees were a bit underwhelming, right? You go and get Jazz. That's what you needed. Gleyber Torres is gone in the offseason. They needed another lefty bat. It's kind of just he's thrived in New York. The Yankees love him. He's been great. The only issue is that was basically the highlight. Everyone thought they were going to get Tanner Scott, and so the Padres decided they wanted to steal him from everyone. But going out and get a Mark Leiter Jr., he was really good last year. He's got one of the best splitters in the league, maybe only behind Fernando Cruz, when every other pitch is in a homer. They also got Enle De Los Santos, who is more of a bridge reliever. He'll give you 2 innings out of the bullpen consistently. So they went out, they addressed part of their bullpen. What didn't make sense to me is trading away Caleb Ferguson. Caleb Ferguson, yes, he's not having that great of a year, but also at the same time, you're very thin on lefties. Who else is left in their lefty core? Is it Victor Gonzalez? Are they expecting anyone back that's a lefty? I don't believe so. So, just, didn't really make sense. They needed to go out and make another move and bring in another lefty, not just bring in Caleb Ferguson. Just weird deadline, underwhelming. I do give the Yankees a win. This is a very, very borderline. They didn't lose the deadline, but they could have done so much better with it. Another team that I'm giving a borderline win to is Hold up. Working with 3 monitors here. The Red Sox. The Red Sox kind of confused me a bit, right? They already had 2 catchers, Connor Wong and Reese McGuire. As soon as they acquired Danny Jansen, they did DFA Connor Wong. Reese McGuire. And so, Danny Jansen wasn't really the guy I thought they'd go and get. He'll be a contributor for sure, but it's just, you already have your catcher of the future in Connor Wong. I didn't really see why you need to upgrade on what was, in all intents and purposes, a backup catcher behind your guy. They also brought in the internally frustrating Lucas Sims from the Reds and Luis Garcia, who they did give up a little bit of a decent package for. But then what their big problem was starting pitching. They had a couple injuries to the starting pitching, and it wasn't very deep. They had 2 or 3 guys you could rely on, right? And so when you have like just a shaky starting rotation, you need to go and get more than just a budget James Paxton. Sure, if you want to bring in James Paxton just because like he's been there before and you know what he's got, sure, go do that. Go get another guy. They needed another guy. Bringing in bullpen depth is great, so I give them a win for that. The Yankees were borderline. Yankees are sitting on the line. You can go either way with it, and I wouldn't be mad. Next up, one of the 2 biggest fire sales at the deadline, the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay Rays get an A+ for this teardown. You get rid of Rosarena, Paredes, Adams, Eflin, Rosario. You get rid of Sean Armstrong. You brought back a bunch of really decent prospects and guys that have contributed before. Isaac Paredes was the Cubs' home run leader. I think he's got 20 on the year now because he's got 1 with the Rays. Dylan Lesko was a top prospect for the Padres. Padres, sorry. These are really great pieces that they brought in. Dylan Carlson is kind of just, what can we get out of him? I believe his first homer of the year was with Tampa Bay this year. So, I don't know. The Rays deadline was a bit weird. Like, they shedded a lot of the guys that I thought they would get rid of, like a Rosarena, Rosario, Eflin. I didn't really see the need to move Paredes, especially because you're contending next year, right? You still got pieces to contend next year. Your starting rotation was killed by injuries. You're getting a bunch of really good guys back. I didn't really see the need to trade Paredes. And then when they traded Paredes, why not trade Yandy Diaz? It's kind of like the Rays. They tear down only to be like kind of in the same spot next year, that they're going to be competitive, but they're not going to be good enough to do anything. They're back in their limbo again, which, I mean, with the Rays, that probably means wild card team in the race for the division. I have faith in the Rays. The Rays are one of the few teams that can strip it down in a year and compete the next. So the Rays, they get an absolute like A++ for this deadline. They made out great with the pieces that they ended up getting. Another team that made out great, Blue Jays. If you would have told me that the biggest package for a starting pitcher at this deadline would have been Yusei Kikuchi, who had a 4.74 ERA before he was moved, I believe. Lou Perfito, he got his feet wet with the Astros this year, right? He's been a top prospect for them for a couple years now. Then, in that same deal, you get Bloss and then Willie Wagner. Willie Wagner was going to be the starting third baseman for the Astros next year, once Bregman hit free agency and left. Willie Wagner is going to be a great piece for them. You're going to have Bo, Wagner, Vladdy as that main 3 in the infield. You figure out the second baseman next year. Maybe it's a top prospect. Maybe you go out and get like someone cheap in the free agency pool. Like maybe they go and trade for Luis Rengifo from the Angels next year. They got just a lot of options. They also traded Yimi Garcia and Justin Turner to the Mariners in separate deals. They got a pretty good package back. And then they got, what was that kid's name? He had a really fun name. Oh, Charles McAdoo for the Pirates to get rid of IKF. Send Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to play where I believe his great uncle was a Hall of Famer, Ralph Kiner, in Pittsburgh. Hold up. Why bend over when I can just do this? Guardians are up next. Guardians had an interesting deadline. I didn't think the Guardians were going to add. Statistically, Cleveland has just been, we want to conserve money, we want to save money, and we want to keep prospects. Very rarely do they go out and give up 3 pretty good prospects for what is one of the best bats at this trade deadline. Logan Thomas will lengthen that lineup significantly. They went from having that Noel kid, Quan is just one of the best contact guys in the league. You had J. Ram. Andres Jimenez is inconsistent. And then you had Josh Naylor. So you had 4 guys you can really trust. Now you got 5, maybe 6 if you're counting Jimenez. This makes this lineup so much better. And then bringing in Alex Cobb for like some rotation depth makes it so much better. Rotation, solid. This is another win for me. And I promise I'm going to get away from the wins real quick right now with this next team. Say hello to the Twins box. This is what the Twins got in free agency. Hear me out now. They got some pennies, and then they got Trevor Richards. When you open this box, you're not wowed. You're not wowed by this box. I'm pretty sure the day they made this trade, their bullpen collapsed and they gave up 15 runs. You have 4 good relievers. You go and trade for a reliever, and you still only have 4 good relievers. Your offense, you don't have a first baseman. Slam Tana's ancient. The rotation has been iffy. You have your playoff rotation. The rest of it's very inconsistent. This isn't a loss. This is just a straight up failure. You can't make one deal for an average reliever with 30 minutes left in the deadline. That can't be your only move. You had more holes to fill, and instead you got a little box with, I don't know, 70 cents. And then Trevor Richards. This was not a good deadline for the Twins. This is an F. This is just a pure F. Let's see, what's next? We got Kansas City Royals. Kansas City Royals made off great. They got 2 really good relievers in Urseg and Hunter Harvey, and then they go out and get a veteran middle infielder, Paul DeYoung. He's going to give them some really good at-bats. He had 18 homers before getting moved over. I don't know if he has had any more recently, but this is a really good deadline. Not pictured here, Michael Lorenzen, right? Michael Lorenzen was not going to slot into their top 3 in the rotation. That was going to be Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans, Michael Wacha. That's the playoff 3. What Lorenzen does is he lengthens the rotation, right? When you see guys getting traded like to Yusei Kikuchi for the Astros is not going to start game 2 or 3 in the World Series if they make it there. Same thing with Lorenzen. Lorenzen is here to make sure you make the playoffs, right? You can win games with your 1 through 3 in the playoffs, but if you're losing games consistently in the 4 and 5 spot in your rotation before you get to the playoffs, you're not making it. Michael Lorenzen lengthens that rotation. It gives depth to the rotation, and then you're also getting a guy with bullpen experience. He was a really good bullpen arm in 2019. You can throw him into the bullpen in the playoffs and have faith he's going to perform in the bullpen. This is just killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're fixing what has been a faulty bullpen for most of the year by getting 2 arms, and then you're getting a 3rd for the playoffs. This is an outstanding win for the Royals. Their division rival isn't going to be so lucky here. Miguel Vargas does not look happy. He looks very much less than happy. This was an underwhelming deadline. It really was. Eloy Jimenez, you dumped him off because there was nothing else you could do with him. Big contract. He won it out. He'd won it out for a while. He just didn't have any value because he kept getting hurt. Miguel Vargas being the biggest piece you get back for Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham is a bit underwhelming. Like, they got 2 other decent prospects with Miguel Vargas. Miguel Vargas is hitting .217 right now. They also have him in the leadoff spot, which says a lot about this organization right now. But Tommy Pham and Michael Kopech also leaving. You had... This deadline was just complete chaos for Chris Getz and the White Sox. You had Luis Robert was supposed to be the big guy you were going to get a haul for. He gets injured. He comes back. He sucks. Garrett Crochet, you're about to get a haul for him, but then concerns about his innings limits and if he can be a starter in the playoffs. And then all of that gets thrown aside because then his agent says, oh, if you trade for me, you need to give me like a 10-year extension worth $700 million. And everyone's like, yeah, no. So the White Sox, this is an F, or this is a loss for me. This isn't a complete F, but this is a loss. Yes, you can trade Roberts and Crochet in the offseason. Maybe Crochet at the next deadline. I don't like Crochet for next year. Crochet, he's been injury-riddled his entire minor league and major league career. He started for 1 year. What's to say they don't figure him out next year and he doesn't come back as the same guy? That's just me. Another loss is going to be the Tigers here. I get a lot of people, the Therion catcher, and then Trey Sweeney, they're highly regarded among, like, baseball executives. These aren't top, like, prospects. They're well liked, but they're not top prospects. And for Garrett Crochet, who ended up being the best pitcher traded away at this deadline, it was a bit underwhelming. I don't know. This is a loss. Just very little for Andrew Chafin. I mean, what were you going to really get for Carson Kelly? And then Mark Canha at the last minute is who traded away. So, I mean, I don't really know what you could have done. It just wasn't... It wasn't a great deadline. It didn't blow anyone away. And it's just a loss. They could have gotten so much more for their top pitcher, and they didn't. They got 2 middle-of-the-road prospects. When you see the team we're about to talk about here gave up so much for a significantly worse pitcher. We're going to Yusei Kikuchi. Jake Bloss, Joey Luperfido, and Will Wagner. That's what they got for Yusei. They shouldn't have gotten just Jake Bloss. That's what it should have been. It should have been a 1-for-1 rental for a mid-pitcher for a young pitcher. That's it? That's the major move you're trying to make? And you gave more up for what you could have gotten for Fetty and Jack Flaherty? For the same package, you could have gotten both. Instead, you get Yusei Kikuchi. Like, no disrespect to Yusei Kikuchi, but why is that what he's going for? I don't even think in his prime he goes for that. This is a loss for the Astros because this was just such an overpay. I don't really understand what the Astros were thinking. Were they just completely desperate? I don't know. I don't really know. It's a bit of a weird, just weird move. Details, comments. All right, up next, the Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners made out big here. They gave up next to nothing to get Randy Arozarena. Randy Arozarena did not go for much. Just Brody Hopkins, player to be named later, and Aiden Smith. You're okay with that. They stole him away from the Dodgers. The Dodgers were the perfect fit. Now they needed to make a couple moves offensively. You just lost J.P. Crawford. You just lost J-Rod for a while. You needed to go out and get another outfield bat and another infield bat. And that's exactly what they did. First game in Seattle, holding the Trident, JT hit a grand slam. That's how you indict yourself to fans. They also went out and added 2 more arms in Yimi Garcia and JT Charigos for the bullpen. Those are 2 fantastic arms. They'll help lengthen this bullpen. They also got rid of Ryan Stanek, who'd been just being thrown into games for no reason when he wasn't performing. That's a win by subtraction. This is a huge win for the Mariners. A team I'm not going to give a win here, and this is the Oakland Athletics, soon to be the Sacramento Athletics, and then soon to be the Las Vegas Athletics. If Mason Miller doesn't punch a padded table 3 days before the deadline, they get a haul. All right, nothing is more volatile in baseball than relievers. Very rarely does a reliever stay good for so long. And if they do, they're Hall of Famers. They're talking about moving him back to being a starter next year. Are you trying to tell me you wouldn't have gotten more for an elite closer than what he was as a pitcher, as just normal pitcher, just average? He was just average as a starter. He's been elite as a closer. He can't throw 103 consistently as a starter. He's losing his fast, like all that velo value. It didn't make sense. Like, I would have still tried to trade him. It's in his non-throwing hand. Just if he didn't punch the wall, I think they get a lot more back for him. Whatever the Lucas Urseg value they got, triple it, quadruple it. They were going to fleece a contender for him. It was going to be what the Tanner Scott package was, plus another top 5 prospect. It was going to be an insane deal. Instead, he gets hurt. I mean, I can't fail him for that, but this was not a great deadline. They also traded Paul Blackburn for next to nothing. So they could have had another year of Paul Blackburn. It didn't really fit into their plans. They're contenders 2-3 years away. Not next year. So can't really fault them for that. But I have to give them a grade. And I'm not giving out an incomplete. This is just going to be a unfortunate L. This is another L I think I'm going to give them. You had so much more you could have gotten, like, shipped off. I'm not mad about not trading Rengifo or Ward. They still have time. They have a couple more years of arbitration. Yes, they're going to get less for them next year or in the offseason when they're inevitably dealt. The Tyler Anderson not being traded made a lot of people angry. He's pitching to a tune of a 2-point-something ERA. He's has another year of control for relatively cheap if he keeps pitching like this. I think next year's $13 million. That's really good. The haul they got back for Estevez was really good. They could have gotten more for Anderson. They could have gotten the same thing for Anderson. Maybe more. Last year, after they traded for Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, going out and getting a couple other guys, and draining the farm system and then releasing them at the end of August, after they cratered, after the deadline, you have to try and get pieces back in your farm system. This farm system is empty. You had to trade these guys at peak value, like Rengifo especially, and Anderson. You're getting less next year for Anderson and Rengifo. Maybe you get more for Ward because maybe he'll have a better year because he's not really been that great because he's been hurt, but very underwhelming. Speaking of another team that was a bit underwhelming, what are the Texas Rangers? I get they won the World Series last year, and I get they've also been hurt a lot. What is this? Like, you trade Michael Lorenzen for a guy that might be good at Walter Pennington. He pitched one game for the Royals, and they said, get out. Andrew Chafin, I mean, is a good lefty. Carson Kelly's a good backup catcher. This just didn't make sense. If you're going to sit on the line, you have to be closer than what the Rangers are right now. They got swept by the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were already actively blowing the team up. This screamed trade John Gray, trade Eovaldi. You could have gotten a lot more. Plus, you got young pitchers on the way. Get Kumar Rocker up next year. Get Jack Leiter up next year. You still have Max Scherzer for a year. That's your 1, 2, and 3. Plus, you got other young guys that are ready to come up too. That frees up for your younger prospects. It gets rid of the older guys. It sheds payroll. Then you go out and get Blake Snell when he inevitably opts out. Blake Snell's been pitching great of late. I watched him throw a no-hitter 2 nights ago. Go out and get Max Fried. Go out and get some of these big-name pitchers that are going to be free agents this year. Don't sit on to some of these older guys that are just costing money. So, we are currently at the midway point. Let me figure out what's the comments looking like. Mute. Go live. Alright. Kay, are you mad about me talking about Blake? I mean, at what point do you when are you no longer mad and you're just impressed? I mean, was it annoying to watch the Reds get completely blanked? Yes. But was it also fun to watch? It was a great pitched game. It was a great pitched game. It was fun to watch Blake Snell just go out and cook. You could tell he was on a different level. Like the other night, just like how Wade Miley was that day. I know you're always mad. It's called being short. You're always mad about frickin' something. There we go. Up next, we got old friend Jesse Winker being traded over to the Mets. Here's what the Mets are doing right now. Mets are in an interesting spot. He signed a bunch of guys on one-year deals because you didn't think you were going to be competitive this year. You thought that we're kind of just going to straddle the line of being competitive or not, and then we'll ship these guys out and get like some decent prospects. Trade Pete Alonso, trade Severino if he's good, trade some of the extra bullpen arms. Oh, the NL's weak? Oh, we're winning? Oh, like, the NL couldn't have gone in a worse way for the Mets because the Mets really wanted to sell. And then they're like, well, we can't because now we got Jose Iglesias singing Oh My God every night and they're winning games. And so going out and get Jesse Winker, Paul Blackburn, and Ryan Stanek for basically nothing is great. Because, yes, you're giving up some prospects. You're giving up bottom, like, lower 20s prospects. You're not giving the guys that have a 40 rank or 45 rank. You're giving, like, your lower guys that are just barely 40, don't really have, at this point, big league potential. And for most farm systems, they might not be top 30, right? That's what you gave up for these three. Plus, you get another year of Paul Blackburn. I believe Ryan Stanek signed a 2-year deal with the Mariners. So you got him next year, too. Jesse Winker. I mean, yeah, exactly. Grimace. Chase! Chase! There we go. How we doing? How's Biggie doing? How's Biggie? I was worried. I saw Kay was in the chat, but you weren't. I was afraid you finally had a heart attack. Alright, so anyway, before I get shot, or sat on. That might be worse. Mets had a great deadline. Just getting low risk, like high reward guys. If Jesse Winker gives you anything offensively, like I didn't like the Jesse Winker move at the time because it was like, oh, so Jeff McNeil's playing right field? Oh, Jeff McNeil's finally hitting? Oh, Jeff McNeil's hot? Playing time cut. Like, that didn't make sense, but since they're kind of reshuffling it around, he's back at second base. Jose Iglesias is still finding playing time basically every day. He's just taking a different spot. Whether Lindor's DHing and he's at short, or McNeil's doing something else, or it's like a different lineup thing. He's still getting everyday playing time, and he's been a really good contributor.
I know I'm watching out. I'm back upstairs, so I can just watch you from my upstairs window. I honestly don't think I'll have to run that fast, but it's whatever.
So, Mets, this is the win. They knew what they had to do. They had to, if they were going to buy, they had to buy light and not give up much. What did they do? They bought light and gave up nothing. A team I didn't like, the Braves. So, Max Fried's walking. He's made that pretty clear. You don't know when you're going to get Strider back. He might be back second half. That's at least what I've read, that they're not going to have Strider till maybe the month right before the All-Star break, maybe later, in that range between the start of like the All-Star like break, probably about like the phase 2 of voting is when he's expected back. So it's going to be late in the year. It's going to be about the halfway point. You need to go and get a starting pitcher. You could not sit around and just... Eric Fetty was perfect for them, and they gave up nothing to get Eric Fetty. You got a bunch of young guys in the starting rotation that may be good, they may not be. We don't know. AJ Smith-Shawver's been inconsistent. They have other couple young guys that have been inconsistent. They're either really good or it's 6 runs in the first 2 innings. Getting a guy like Fetty would have been perfect because cheap, and you get him for next year. Just bringing in Jorge Soler, I mean, that's not bad because we kind of saw what happened the last time they brought in Jorge Soler. So, I mean, and Acuna had a torn ACL, so maybe they're running it back. I don't know. I don't. Braves offense has been too inconsistent and just flat up terrible for me to see that happening. But this is going to be a loss for the Braves. They could have gotten out and gotten Flaherty or Fetty. Maybe go out and get someone else. I don't know. Go out and get Lorenzen. They should have been in the running for him. A team that I can completely not give an F to. The Miami Marlins had themselves a deadline. Is this... I don't know. This might be stupid. Can the Marlins compete next year? Like, you got rid of Tanner Scott, right? He's walking, free agent. Is Brian De La Cruz really that good? Do we know if Brian De La Cruz is that good? I mean, he could be good. His OPS is under 700. His batting average is not great. His on base is mediocre. So is he really that good? And then Jazz Chisholm, he won it out anyway. It didn't matter, right? All you did was bring in Connor Norby, boom, starting second baseman next year. You brought in, what's that name? Graham Pauley. You're going to be another infielder. Plus, if you look at the rest of this farm system, it's really close. I really love Davision De Los Santos. He's got his first 2 games in the Marlins system, 2 homers, bringing his total for the year to 30 between AA and AAA. That's your first baseman of the future. Plus, they're getting all their young starters back, right? Yuri Perez is going to be back next year. Who else is injured right now? Well, you're bringing back Sandy Alcantara next year. Just casually putting a Cy Young winner back into your rotation never hurts. They also got a bunch of other younger guys coming back. They're not that far away. This might be just kind of like how the Reds did a couple years ago, where 2021, mediocre, strips the team down, 100-loss season, 80 wins the next year, right? That's kind of what I'm looking at here, because they strip everything down, and then they look like they're back next year. They have so many, all their top prospects, except for Snelling, are in AA or AAA. All those guys in AAA are going to be competing for a September call-up. And all those guys in AA, as soon as the September call-ups happen, they're going to AA. They'll be in spring training next year. They'll be competing for a roster spot. This Marlins this Marlins deadline. Can we class this like top 5 since 2000? This is top 5 since 2000. This is just great. This was a huge deadline for them. And then you're also getting Luzardo back. I forgot about that, but you could spin off Luzardo in the offseason once he has a couple good starts this year. And you don't really miss him because you got so many young pitchers coming up. You got Edward Cabrera, other guys like him, and you can get more offense for him. Go out and get some more power-hitting outfielders. And boom, you're ready. You're already back. It's going to be casually the fastest rebuild of all time. A team that won't be needing to rebuild for as long as Bryce Harper's a Philly. The Carlos Estevez trade was great. Also going out and getting Tanner Banks was great. Austin Hayes, he hasn't been the same since his All-Star campaign. He's a really good bat against lefties. If you don't want to play the homeless man, Marsh, every day, boom, Austin Hayes. He's going to give you great defense. So it still profiles for what the Phillies are trying to bring back into their lineup. Some decent defense, except for Castellanos. This is huge for them. Yes, they gave away a couple relievers. Didn't need them. Didn't need them anymore. You just brought in Banks. You brought in Estevez. You can throw those two away. You didn't need them. Baltimore needed them more than you needed them. So, great deadline for them. Team I want to talk about as being the next up-and-comers. The Nationals. I didn't see them moving Lane Thomas. And then, I believe the reports were saying that he wasn't going to get moved. And then in that next hour after that post, Guardians came in, gave up a nice package for him, but this rotation is young and still coming up. Right, Patrick Corbin's off the books, I believe, after next year. So, no more Patrick Corbin sucking. I'd be shocked if they don't release him after this year, just so they're go away. You have all those young top prospects. Dylan Cruz is going to be called up sometime this offseason. I love Trey Lipscomb being a defensive first, second baseman. You already have your catcher of the future in Ruiz, Keeper Ruiz. Jake Irvin and Mackenzie Gore could be a really good 1-2 punch in this rotation for the future. They really could. They got great returns for Hunter Harvey and Floro. Who is Floro on here? I don't see Floro on this, but they also traded Dylan Floro to, I believe, the Diamondbacks. Jazz not being a Marlin is crazy to me because that is the only Marlin I knew. EOE. I have beef with him and forgot, but I stand. Who do you have beef with, Kay? I feel like you have beef with a lot of people. Jazz? You have beef with Jazz? Is that what you're saying? Why do you have beef with Jazz? Just because he has a cool name or something? I don't know. You trying to say you wouldn't want to be Jazz Wheatbread? I feel like Jazz Wheatbread would be a fire name. I don't know. Maybe I'm spitballing. I don't know. A team that deadline confused me would be the Chicago Cubs. All right, so Cubs aren't contending this year. Cubs are bad. So what do? You trade prospects for Isaac Paredes? I mean, sure, if you think he's going to help you, but is he really that much better than Christopher Morel? Isaac Paredes' power numbers jumped because there's a micro porch in that left field square down the line in Tropicana. Almost all his homers are a hit to that short porch. I'm pretty sure he's got 17. I opened up what his homers would be in Wrigley. 11. If he played every single game in Wrigley, he'd have 11. So, he's not. And Wrigley isn't that massive of a ballpark either. He just doesn't hit the ball far. And Morel, yes, the strikeout issues are kind of a problem. They didn't really give him a chance. Because when you see these young guys, they struggle when they're told to bounce around positions, right? One day, Christopher Morel's playing center. The next day, he's playing third. Next day, he's DHing. He's not getting consistent reps anywhere. And then when you're not playing defensive well, that goes to your head. Look at what Alec Bohm was before he started finally picking it over at third. It was a mess. Offensively, he struggled. He was getting booed. He said he hated it there. Then he kind of started getting comfortable at third. He was now a competent fielder. And he's top 2 in doubles this year. So, just not saying Morel's Alec Bohm, because Alec Bohm has a lot better discipline and he's got a lot better back to ball skills. Morel's got power for days, and it plays in Wrigley. We don't know if Isaac Paredes has power for days like that. So, I don't know. You gave up Christopher Morel for a guy that has one less year of control and prospects. I didn't like that move for the Cubs. So, I don't know. I'm giving the Cubs a loss here just because I'm lost with what they're doing. It would make sense if they went out and traded guys that were big league ready right now without giving up Morel. I don't know. I didn't like the Isaac Paredes move. If they were going to trade Morel, go out and get for more than just a one-time All-Star and doesn't look like he's a fluke. Because if I go to oh, are you doing the school countdown? 11 days? 11 days is scary. No, not 11 days. All right. Oh, what did I just hit? How did I? All right. Baseball Savant. If we go to Isaac Paredes' page real quick and take a look at his spray chart. Hold up. Let me do a display capture. Display capture. Look at this here. Are these numbers any good? I'm being for real. Look at how many of these balls are hit right down the line. He's not good defensively. His metrics aren't good. What is he good at? He's good at walking and not striking out. But that can't be the only thing you're good at if you're giving up top prospects like this. An expected batting average at 214 is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure Will Benson's is higher. Is Will Benson's higher? Please tell me Will Benson's is higher. 214 is the number to beat. 214 is the number to beat. And he did not do it. That is crazy. An expected batting average of a $190. Or, yeah, $190 is ridiculous. Okay. We have him instead of resigns. That is great. That is great. That is spectacular. That is great. Deadline that wasn't really great to the Brewers. I saw Joey Wiemer. He had one at bat before my dad got antsy and decided, there's no point in staying. It's now 8-3 or 8-2. Sorry. Joey Wiemer looked fine. He was no longer doing his thing with his bat, so that's fine. He was more quiet with his hands, so maybe it'll bring more contact. I don't know. He hit $150 for the Brewers this year, so what do I know? Frankie Montas still has a 5 ERA with the Brewers. Jacob Junis sucks, so it doesn't really matter. Thank God we're getting cash in the deal, right? Thank God for cash. But Aaron Cifali and Frankie Montas weren't the two guys you should have gotten if you're the Brewers. Eric Fetty would have been another great guy to get. A lot of teams in the Central could have used Eric Fetty. Instead, the Cardinals got him. Joey Wiemer, yes, he's been awful this year, and then wasn't great last year unless it was against Southpaws. He was a former top 3 prospect. He's only blocked from getting everyday playing time in Milwaukee. Sal Frelick decided to just burst onto the scene, and you're not demoting Jackson Churios, so he stays. And Joey Wiemer doesn't. I don't know. I didn't like this deadline. It's just, I get the Brewers turn out pitchers like it's a factory for just all-star pitchers. Just 2 guys with 5 ERAs isn't what your deadline should be. Especially when you're trying to contend for a World Series. Who, maybe you are, maybe you're not. You should be because Willy Adames walks. You cannot let Willy Adames just walk free without getting anything back. Now here's a team that the 2 people spamming me. Cincinnati Reds. They're big and dear to our hearts. Camera's crooked. Why is it crooked? I got the Cincinnati Reds championship blanket right there. Directly behind me. Also, if you're wondering, that poster right there, autographed Aristides Aquino. Right back there. Aristides Aquino. So, Brewers' big move. Jacob Junis? Is that really it? Jacob Junis. Now, the Lucas Sims trade might have just gone under the radar. It's just thank God we got rid of Sims. The kid we got back might be great. The kid that we got back, he's a 19-year-old right-hander. He casually throws 100 miles an hour. He's 6'4", and him throwing 100 miles an hour when he's a $164 is wild, right? He's young. If you can put some muscle on him and get him up to 190 and have him out of the bullpen, that's 103. Develop him for 5 years. Him talking with Derek Johnson is going to be huge for his development. We also got Ty France, who might just be done. I don't know. Ty France looks like he might be cooked. He's not bounced back from his injury last year. And, defensively he was good. He made a couple good plays today. That bat is lacking. That bat is so lacking. It's not great. Chase, I don't know anything about hockey. You know that. Where'd I put the poster from the game we went to? I got this. I don't see, hold up. Where's your boy at? There's your boy, Patrick Laine. Where's your other guy? The kid that made his debut that day. I don't think he's on this poster. Okay. It'll be okay. It'll be okay without Texier. Caden Lindstrom? Patrick Laine, I'm good. I'm good. I miss my wife. Okay. Andrew Salcedo's never playing in the big league, so getting Ty France for basically free is whatever. Austin Slater for a player to be named later, and Livian Soto going there. Whatever, I don't care. The only player I care about getting back is Joey Wiemer and Orvis. that's about it. The Pirates might be scary in the next 2 years. I chose his photo because it looks sick. He's just shattering the bat. That's Brian De La Cruz. They might be onto something here, and I get this is a bit small and hard to read. I don't know why I squeezed it in like that. Should have moved the Pirates logo up a little bit. They gave up a haul for Brian De La Cruz. In the end, I think it works. Because they need another power outfield bat. Brian Reynolds had 18 homers. The rest of the entire Pirates outfield this year had 30 homers. Brian Reynolds had 18 of them up to that point. So you're getting another guy that has homer potential. He's got really good pop. The Isaiah kind of Falefa trade's kind of funny. He's hitting leadoff and hitting 290 for him right now. So, I just nabbed the fly. There we go. Great. Just caught one. There we go. Pirates, I've been saying this. I got one of my really good friends moved to Pittsburgh. I've been telling him Pirates are maybe a year away. You got Skeens, they got Keller, they got Jones. That's 1, 2, 3 for a playoff rotation. Fix the offense. Fix the bullpen. Pirates are a year away. They're pieces away right now. They're pieces away. If they would have had Brian De La Cruz at the start of the season and IKF, figure out a legit center fielder. Is Jack Sawinski the answer? Because I don't think Ji-Hwan Bae is. Go out and get a guy like. Go out and get a center fielder. Any center fielder. Anyone hitting better than 190 with any pop, they'd be doing better with Will Benson. And that's really hard to say. So, Pirates, they're another big win for this deadline. One of the biggest wins I have for all the teams that were buyers at this deadline. St. Louis Cardinals. Eric Fetty and Tommy Pham for nothing. For nothing. Sharm Armstrong for nothing. Dylan Carlson was going to get waived in about another week. They got Sharm Armstrong to shore up the bullpen. You gave up Tommy Edman to go get Tommy Pham and Eric Fetty. Dodgers gave up all the prospects, and that was underwhelming to begin with. That's...
Yes, sir. Tommy Pham, Reds legend. He's live tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. They got him mic'd up, which someone was saying this should be interesting because we all know Tommy Pham isn't afraid to speak his mind or slap jock during a pregame. So, I mean, that's whatever. That's kind of funny.
Cardinals made out huge. Tommy Edman for who will be your 3 in the playoffs and another bat. I didn't understand Tommy Pham being thrown in there, but then like his first at bat in the Cardinals is a grand slam. So, I mean, they know something better than I do, obviously. But I don't know. Like, Cardinals might be top 3 like buyers at this deadline. They're definitely up there. They're definitely top 5. Another team that I don't think is top 5. What was that AJ Puck trade? Division De Los. So, context. Christian Walker is gone. Christian Walker is walking at the end of the year. As funny as that may sound. He's gone. Division's your starting first baseman next year. He's a plug and play. He's the exact same guy, just with a cooler name. Rip the Yotes.
Why do we care about the Coyotes in this? Chase, I should get you on and you should talk hockey.
Like, I would understand if they made that deal for one of the good relievers. If they would have gotten like a... See, who was someone that didn't get moved? What was a team that didn't move like one of their good bullpen guys? If they would have gave up that package for Kyle Finnegan of the Nationals, I would have been okay with it. It was AJ Puck. No. Dylan Floro for next to nothing. And then Josh Bell for cash. Josh Bell's been great. He's filling in well. Josh Bell can never have 2 back-to-back good halves. He either sucked and gets traded and is good, or is great, gets traded and sucks.
Josh Bell conspiracy theory. Alright. This next team makes me angry. It really does. What are the Colorado Rockies doing? Cal Quantrill has another year of control. So, I mean, you could trade him. Who says he doesn't get hurt? Who says he doesn't get hurt? Elias Diaz. He's walking. Ryan McMahon? What's the point of holding on to Ryan McMahon? The Rockies have fumbled the trade deadline so many times. Didn't trade Story. Story, after the deadline, literally said, I don't know why I'm still here. Diaz and Cal should be saying the exact same thing. They didn't trade John Gray in time. And then they didn't trade German Marquez. German Marquez is still on roster. Which is funny to say. Because he's finally coming back from Tommy John. He has no value. I think he's gone after next year, too. And it's funny because I just figured out he's still inside of 30, which is ridiculous. Rockies make me so... Like, what was the point in saying that Ryan McMahon was untouchable? What was the point of that? He's having the best season of his career. And that being said, it's like a 103 OPS plus. So it's not even that great. He's having a good defensive season. Why not trade him? Same thing with Brendan Rodgers. He's finally healthy. He's kind of hitting. You could have gotten rid of him. This is a failure by the Rockies. This is a flat F. Now let's talk about one of the biggest winners at the deadline. Los Angeles Dodgers. Jack Flaherty for nothing. Jack Flaherty for nothing. That's what this comes down to. It was Jack Flaherty for a bag of balls. Amazon gift card thrown in there too. That's what they gave up for Jack Flaherty. Yusei Kikuchi went for like triple. Then you get Tommy Pham back from the Cardinals. Oh, and by the way, you will also be getting Michael Kopech. They bring back Ahmed Rosario to play shortstop until Betts gets back. And then you have another great defender and center in Kevin Kiermaier. They shored up their roster so well, so when Betts gets back, when Freeman's back from his kids getting like terminally ill, they're back and ready to go. They are so just ready to run through the playoffs. Now it inevitably won't happen because Dave Roberts can't manage a bullpen to save his life. Dodgers are set. They're ready to go. I would have loved them to have been the ones getting Fetty out of this deal. Because then next year, they have another pitcher that they can use next year. Kershaw's probably retiring. Everyone's hurt. You just have another body that you're like, okay, yeah, I know he's here. Whether he's great next year or not, doesn't matter. He's still here. This team made me angry. They gave up their entire farm system to get Juan Soto. What was that, 2 years ago? And then they gave up their entire farm again. Overpaying for 2 relievers. Tanner Scott's gone in the offseason. The Padres already said they don't have money. So he's gone. Jason Adams? Yeah, sure. That's a lot. But Tanner Scott was even more. And they don't get Tanner Scott next year. He's gone. The Padres general manager makes me angry. It's like you can't keep getting away with trading your entire farm and not suck. This is coming back to bite them next year and the year after. Because Tanner Scott's going to be gone. Your bullpen is still going to be an issue. Instead of Robert Suarez and Jason Adams, this will be your only 2 reliable guys. And then maybe Yuki Matsui as your lefty. You could have gotten another good reliever, another good lefty for less than that. You could have gotten Chafin. This is the second to last L I'm about to give. trying to read chat, trying to figure out what Santa and his elf are talking about. We're about to get to our last team here, and then I'll figure out what you guys are trying to talk about. San Francisco Giants, what are we doing? Instead of contending, you're just dumping salary. Like, I mean, they just beat the crap out of the Reds today, so obviously something's working. You traded Jorge Soler for next to nothing? And you decided to shore it up by getting Mark Canha? Oh, and then you dump salary by trading Alex Cobb? The entire, they're like, oh, so we're probably not going to win the World Series this year. Let's get under the, luxury tax threshold. If you want to do that, trade Snell. That's what they should have done. They should have traded Snell. They should have said, we'll pay for half his money, because then that gets you under. That would have gotten them under the luxury tax, and they would have gotten a haul back. And then be like, if a team was scared, what if he opts into his $40 million thing? We'll pay for half of that next year. Because in your mind, you're still paying for that anyway. So I don't understand why saying, oh, you'll pay half of it, would that make you, would be like, no, we're not paying money for him, but then also we need to get under the luxury tax. Pay half, move on. That's what they should have done. If they were going to do it, just... Yeah, exactly. Snell gets a no-hitter. Are you trying to tell me, though, that if they would have traded Snell, they wouldn't have gotten a haul? He probably doesn't throw the no-hitter against this, AAA lineup. But the Giants get a haul back. And he could be pitching meaningful innings. And then if he pitches meaningful innings in the playoffs, then he's opting out of that $40 million thing anyway. And he's going to get a 5-year deal once he fires Boris. So, for Blake Snell, this probably the biggest loser of the entire Giants trade deadline was probably Blake Snell. Yes, he throws a no-hitter against the Reds. He just lost a chance at a bunch more money. So I don't know. That's all I got right now. Is there... Hold up. Let me change camera. Change cameras. Let's change over to the desktop. Add. Where is it at? Video capture device. Laptop. There we go. Yeah, this camera is terrible. Alright, hold up. Let's expand this guy out. There we go. Jason Carr, we still there? How are we doing? Well, because this is I'm currently recording right now from my laptop's webcam, so it's going to be terrible. I don't want to move the actual webcam because the actual webcam... actually, hold up. I can fix this with some backlighting, I think. Hold up. Is that better? I think it might be worse. I think that's a little bit better because there's a little bit of light. What if I turn on these just to white? Where'd I put my phone? Where did I put my phone? Is it back behind? No. I don't know where I put my phone. That's funny. Oh, wait, it's right here. Alright. Nope. What if I turn the backlights on? Hold up. Who is Jade? I miss Jade. Chase, who is that? Oh, it's hockey. Use my phone. I'm not plugging my phone in. Hold up. So there are how many days left? Alright, hold up. They want me to look up Jade Carey. Let's go to start. Let's go. Hold up. Let's go to video capture device. Laptop. We're going to go right here. And we're going to fill up that gap. And then we're going to go display capture. We're going to go, okay. All right, there we go. Where do I want to move? I'll probably move. Whoop. There we go. So I can actually see what you guys are still saying. Over here. Oh, say hello to every single image that I had to drag and drop singularly in. All right, so who was this cat you wanted me to look up? It was Jade Carey. Oh, is this the chick, Chase, that you've been like salivating over in your like Instagram stories? Is this who that is? I think so, right? Isn't this who you've been like high-key just being weird about? Right. I think that's who it is, right? Yeah, Chase, I think that's... Chase, hold up. Let me find your Instagram. I feel like every single post you make, it's been... Yeah, see, where's the camera at? There we go. You're posting about Jade there. Suni again. And some random dork. Yeah, Chase, you've been kind of like high-key simping for Olympic athletes over the past couple days. It's kind of weird. All right, let's go to intro there. Okay. All right. So what's been up?
Hold up, I'm bored. Let's turn. Are they on smooth? Yeah, they are. Okay.
Bet. There we go. Horseboy? Who is Horseboy? Muffin Man? I think Kay's just like blasted again. This guy, shut up. All right. Also, by the way, the stream is on like just now it popped in saying Circle Sky by the Monkees. I'm not playing a song because that's going to get like everything copyrighted and I don't want to get claimed because that'd be kind of funny. Written and produced by Robbery. Yeah, I'm only seeing exactly what you're talking about, Robbery now, so Kay's been drinking, I can tell. Now that stream's over, this is going to be satisfying. Hold up. Start. We're going to put... Oh, wait, hold up. Nope. We're going to be putting all of this into junk. Replace the files. There we go. There we go. That was so nice. That was great. Let me get back into intro. All right.
That was so nice. All right. It's 8:45 now, so I'm going to probably be dipping here real quick. Chase K, is there anything more you'd like to say? I'm not playing Dress to Impress on Roblox. I'm in love with Peter Tork. I bet. Well, if that's it, we're going to be dipping here. So, thank you all for listening in. See you on the 15th.